Good morning. My name is John Duncan. I'm a professor here in the College of Liberal Studies, and I'm your professor this semester for LSHA 5153, Ethics in Interprofessional Human and Health Services. I actually put this course together a few years ago because I think that some of the classes that we have that are ethics classes are more academic. So we spend a lot of time learning about Plato and Aristotle and what their ethical theories are. But in the healthcare arena, I believe that it's more important to have a practical sense of ethical deliberation. So a number of situations will crop up, and in these situations you'll have to make a decision, a real practical decision, oftentimes about human life. And so consequently, you need to know kind of where those ethical boundaries are, but at the same time you actually have to be able to use those theories a little bit more than just in an academic setting. So that's what I've tried to create in this course, is the ability to understand what the ethical dimensions are in a situation, and then the ability to use that in a decision-making process, just in your deliberation. I can't, and no one at this point can tell you what's right and wrong. I mean, that's something that you're raised with, that's something that you have internalized throughout your life. That's not the purpose of this class. But there have been some thinkers that have influenced the way we see issues of what we ought to do. And a number of those thinkers, they're mostly philosophers. Plato, Aristotle, Immanuel Kant, René Descartes, John Stuart Mill, John Rawls, several others. And what we'll do is we'll look at some of those theories, but in a practical sense. In fact, I put a PowerPoint show. If you'll go to where it says content on your D2L, you can find a PowerPoint show on the major ethical theories. And in there, what I'll do is I'll show you a picture of Plato and talk a little bit about Plato, but mainly I lay out the essential elements of his philosophy. For example, all that matters at this point for what we're doing in this class about Plato is that Plato was interested in and recommended that we have transparency in order to have things right. He recommended that we guide ourselves with reason rather than our feelings or our thoughts about greed or something like that, self-interest, but by reason. And Plato also recommended that we live a life of decision-making that is based on controlling our desires. So if we don't have any self-interest, if we control our desires and make our decisions independent of desires, and then we make our decisions where everybody can see what we're doing, we can't hide it from anyone, then we're more apt to make a right decision than we are a wrong decision. And that's all he says. You know, he's not saying you have to do this. He's not laying out a commandment or some list of things that you have to do or not. But mainly he's giving you some guidelines about how to act in these situations. Same thing with Aristotle. Aristotle really says in ethics we have to have practical understanding, practical wisdom. He calls this in Greek, it's called phronesis. And practical understanding is the fact that given any situation, we have a good judgment or we have a bad judgment. Now the good judgment is that it's sort of in the middle, sort of balanced between too much or too little. A good example would be courage. Courage is somewhere in the middle between recklessness and cowardice. It's not cowardice, it's not reckless. And we have to look at the situation and the action to really decide where those boundaries fall. And so Aristotle said that's good judgment. And so we could ask ourselves, if we're trying to make a decision about something, whether to release information, whether to share it with family members or something in a medical situation, we'd say, okay, is this good? What if everybody knew I was doing this? Would it be okay? And the answer, yes, it would. Okay, well, that's good. So transparency's there. And do I have any vested interest in this myself? Am I acting because I, have some other reason other than just the rational thing to do? Not really. Okay, well, that's good. Are there any codes or things that would preclude me from doing this? Now, we still have to look at laws. We still have to look at the contemporary world here. And there might be. And then Aristotle would say, You know, is it good judgment? Is it a good idea to do this? And we could look at in terms of what would be the other extremes. What if I didn't do it? What if I did it all the time? We could look at it that way and make our decisions. So these are just tools to use in your thinking process about some complicated gray area situation. As long as when you're talking about ethics, it's really easy as long as you're in a situation where everything is black and white, where it's just, oh, this is my rule, I have to follow it. That's pretty easy. But sometimes things don't fall that easily into play. Sometimes you have to actually think about these gray areas. And hopefully this class will help you do that. So anyway, I try to communicate as much as I can to the students through the semester. I try to do a few of these informal videos. I'm sitting in my office right now, so welcome. You're in my office, and I guess I'm in your house or wherever you do your studies. But we try to set up as much interplay as we can here, and I try to examine new ways of doing this as often as possible. So what I intend to do is for each section, I will post a video, and I'll talk about some of the ideas that we have there, some of the things that I think, and I encourage you to either post videos of your own, or you can also call me. I'll list my office hours, my telephone numbers. I'll even give you my cell number if you promise not to do anything bad with it. So don't put it on some wall for a good time called Professor Duncan. You can call me John. I don't like to go by doctor or all these other things. I think that's pretentious. I mean, it's just John. We're just human beings here. And this is just something that I've studied a whole lot. You all have studied a lot of other things that I don't know about, and I hope you bring those into play in this class. So I'm here to guide you through this kind of stuff, but you can help me learn other things too. So we learn from each other in this class. I hope you have good communication with the other students. I hope each of you communicates with each other quite well, and I hope you enjoy the class. If you're having any trouble whatsoever, get a hold of me, let me know. Let me give you a little housekeeping stuff right now. As far as assignments, I don't care if you're late. I understand about being a working adult. You've got a job, you're on a lot of shifts, you have something come up with one of your children getting sick or a family issue that crops up. You can't always say, I'm going to turn something in every Saturday or every other week or whatever. You may have to miss that. So I don't care. I give that to you. Now, the only deadline I have is at the end of the semester. When that comes along, then I have to turn my grades in, so I have to write something down. So I have to have your work by then. Now, what I would encourage you to do is try to stay up with the work and hand it in according to just a reasonable guideline of divide it out into reasonable sections and do it that way. But I am not rigid about having any deadlines, so don't worry about that. You don't have to get permission to hand in something late or anything like that with me. But if you are having problems, if you have any difficulties, certainly give me a call. I want to hear from you. I want us to communicate as much as possible in this class. I don't want it to be a correspondence course. I want it to be an interactive online course where you're asking me questions. I'm discussing things with you. We're sharing information. If you want to make some videos yourself, they're easy to do. I just put a little camera on my computer here and put Windows Movie Maker on and sit around and ramble. So I guess I've rambled enough today. Welcome to the class. Thank you for taking it, and I hope it's a good class for you. If you have any questions, let me know. Bye-bye.